This blind technician comes to the rich man's house every day to give massages, but on this day, he realized something was wrong. He said he heard a lock-picking noise outside the door. The tycoon didn't think anything of it at first, but while he was enjoying himself, a group of robbers suddenly broke into the door. They kicked him over, then they grabbed him by the hair. They forced him to tell them the combination to the safe. Seeing that there were so many of them, the tycoon could only surrender. But he's not a fool. He purposely left a trick up his sleeve. He took a wrong fingerprint and pressed it. He triggered the alarm system on purpose. Then he swung a nearby electric baton and told them to leave. I didn't realize that the robber was not happy about it. He took out his gun and killed him. One shot is not enough. Let's have a few more shots. Then the robbers dragged the tycoon to open the safe. Looking at the blind technician, the leader of the robbers became suspicious. In order to check if the technician is really blind, he picked up a nearby candlestick and stabbed the blind man in the eye. Seeing that the blind man didn't dodge at all, the boss was convinced that he was blind. He let him go, with all the money in the vault taken. The robbers drove away, but as they left, the police arrived. They followed them in hot pursuit. As the police were unfamiliar with the surrounding roads, they soon lost sight of the robbers. They saw a boy sitting on the ground picking up something. The police immediately concluded that the robbers were heading this way. They accelerated the gas and rushed there, unbeknownst to them. This is actually the robbers deliberately set up a blindfold. The boy was actually the robber's godson, with the rich man's tragic death at home. The blind technician was soon brought to the police station for investigation. Although he said he was truly blind, he didn't see anything just now. But a police officer still felt something was wrong with him, into the interrogation room alone, and conducted a vision test on him. This technician is obviously not blind, but when questioned by the police, he had to claim that he was a blind technician, because just now, he witnessed a murder. Because he was blind, the robbers spared his life. But a police officer saw something was wrong, entered the interrogation room, grabbed a lighter and put it to his eyes for a test, just when he thought he was fine and could go home, but the police scared him. He'd tell the press that he wasn't blind. Realizing that the robbers would not spare him, they found out about this. The technician still panicked. Eventually, under the threat of the police, the technician told the police that he was pretending to be blind. But outside the interrogation room, an undercover agent secretly told the robbers. When the robbers found out that the technician was pretending to be blind, they decided not to leave anyone alive. So they took out the best sniper rifle in the warehouse and aimed it at the police station entrance. When the technician walks out of the police station, they'll kill him with a single shot. In order to train his son's courage, the boss gave him the opportunity to kill him. But just as he was about to attack the technician, a monster suddenly appeared in the sniper's scope. That's how the blind mechanic survived. I thought the police would take the blind man to a safe place for protection. But as soon as he got into the car, he realized something was wrong with the driver. It turned out that the real driver had already been killed by the robbers. Now the driver has been replaced by the robbers. He tried to escape, but it was too late. Soon the driver drove the car under a bridge, as another robber got into the car. The mechanic finally left this world. Since his son hadn't completed his mission this time, the boss decided to give him another chance. He asked him to knock on the door of a nail house, lure the nailer to the window, and then hunt them down. I didn't expect that when my son entered the house. He found that the place was very familiar. The homeowner realized that his house had been burglarized. He tried to call the police. He was knocked unconscious by the robbers. When my son saw the other man's face, a feeling of familiarity suddenly appeared in his heart. But without saying a word, the boss told his son to shoot him. The son was forced to kill him, in order to find out why this place is so familiar. A few days later, my son went to the crime scene alone to check it out, until he saw a missing person notice on the table over 10 years ago. He realized that this was the house where he lived as a child. He couldn't believe that he had killed his father with his own hands. This little boy was accidentally kidnapped by 5 robbers, but instead of ripping him off, they raised him as their own son and gave him all his life's lessons. They trained him to be a killer. They thought the boy would grow up to be an assassin, but one day, the boy learned of his birth. He was forced to kill his own father when he came to the hospital. Looking at his own mother in a coma, the boy's heart was filled with hatred. He decided to take revenge. After returning home, he first stole a sniper rifle. Then he went to an abandoned factory in the middle of nowhere. Then he called the boss and challenged him. The next day, the boss came to the warehouse looking for the boy. He was surprised when the Chamber of Commerce showed up at the same place. It turns out, the boy had not only called his foster fathers, he also called his enemies. As the two sides stood and argued, a gunshot rang out suddenly. It turned out that the boy had already set up a sniper rifle not far away, watching every move in the warehouse as the people killed each other in the warehouse. A years-old conflict broke out half an hour later. The boss was the only one who came out of the factory. Realizing that his brothers had been killed by the boy, the boss did not go to the boy to settle the score. Instead, he went straight to the boy's mother, who was lying in the hospital. He told him that he hadn't owed the boy anything in the past few years. Watching the boy rushing towards the hospital, the boss finally raised his gun slowly. By the time the boy got there, it was too late. He saw that his mother had left him. The boy collapsed and fell to his knees, bawling his eyes out. He didn't understand why the world was doing this to him. Afterwards, he came to the old house with determination, but the boss threatened him with his foster mom. Looking at his mother's agonized face on the ground, the boy finally fell to his knees. He admitted his mistake. Just when the boss thought that the boy had really realized his mistake, the boy shot him in the back. He killed him with his own hands.